Sweep the Roadrunners this year. It would be 2 of their 5 wins at the buzzer.
Hysier Miller has officially entered the transfer portal for the second time, and he isn't the only one.
I'm Miles Bailey reporting from the Temple Sports Complex. Later on in the show, I will talk about the women's soccer team and their first full offseason under new head coach Chris Shaw.
And I'm Kayla Vine with women's lacrosse. I'll take a look at just how much tougher it's going to get for the Owls in the next few weeks.
And I'm Xavier Adams. Later on, I'll be here to talk some track and field and share some updates on how the team has done in its last couple of meets. OwlSports Update is live, and it starts right now.
Hello and welcome to this edition of OwlSports Update. I'm Paddy Heckard.
And I'm Natalie Koranda. Although the basketball season is officially over, the transfer portal is just getting busy.
And so far, the portal hasn't been very kind to the Owls. Hysier Miller, one of the longest tenure players at Temple, has entered the transfer portal. Miller led the team in points and set the AAC tournament record for points and assists this season. The junior guard entered the portal last year following the exit of head coach Aaron McKee, but decided to stay another season with the Owls. This time around, it looks like he's gone for good.
Miller isn't the only one with plans to leave the nest. In fact, 3 more entered the portal before him. Guard Deuce Roberts, forward Taj Thweet, and center Emmanuel Okpomo entered last month. More recently, guard Jalil White announced early this week that he has entered with 1 year of eligibility remaining. But again, any of those Owls can choose to change their minds and stay.
With all the major developments for Temple basketball, we felt it was necessary to bring in an expert.
Courts in Session host Hayden Bandel joins us at the desk to talk about that revolving door. Welcome, Hayden.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
So starting us off, Temple has 5 players leaving so far this offseason through the portal. Is this a surprise considering the AAC tournament success we saw from Temple?
Yeah, I want to look at the 2 main guys, Jalil White and Hysier Miller, who they got the most minutes from this year. And when we look at them, they are 2 guys that Adam Fisher had to re-recruit back to Temple once he was hired. People forget, Hysier Miller verbally committed to go to SMU, but Fisher brings him back, but now he's getting offers from other schools like Virginia, Virginia Tech, Seton Hall, and Providence. So what it tells me about Temple is that some students use it as a stepping stone to get to other schools.
Now, Hayden, one name we've yet to hear about during this offseason is Jordan Riley. Can you talk about his importance to this team if he stays for the next season?
Yeah, he was huge for Temple, especially down the stretch in conference play. We really saw a great increase in minutes. Over 500 minutes from last year when he was at Georgetown to this year at Temple. That was the largest leap from any Owl this year. Showed that he can really score the basketball when needed. Athletic guard, too, on both ends of the floor with his slam dunks and block shots. He does need better ball handling, though. When we talk about Hysier Miller leaving and Temple needing a guard to bring the ball up, if Jordan Riley wants to be that guy, he's going to have to work on that skill set.
And to follow that up, Zion Stanford played a pretty big role and had some great performances with the team last season. Considering he's a true freshman, how important is he to this team's future?
Yeah, he's going to be huge, especially for his development for the program. He already shows he has great footwork down in the paint on the offensive side of the ball. On defense, though, he has to get a little bit better. It's part of the reason why we saw his minutes decrease towards the end of the year. And also, as a 6'5" guard, he's got to get better at rebounding and boxing out his opponents because he can be really crucial on that side. But like you mentioned, Paddy, he's the true freshman. Made a lot of mental mistakes this year, but Adam Fisher and his coaching staff should be able to develop him well.
Now, Hayden, finally, are there any names that you've seen enter the portal that are on your wish list for next season?
Yeah, so I'm going to throw out a couple of guards first. Jalen Counter, he's a guard from IUPUI, 3rd-team All-Horizon this past year. And then also Matt Becht, he's a D2 guy from Southern New Hampshire. He's a guy that can really shoot the basketball, and he can work well in Adam Fisher's system where he just wants to shoot a lot of threes. Then I'm going to go a little local. From UNC Greensboro, Michael Brown-Jones, he's 6'8", 220, from North Philadelphia too, so he can really be a big man factor that Temple can use. And then last, Deuce Turner, he was at San Diego, a guard this past year. He's from the Philly suburbs as well, went to Malvern Prep, just 30 miles outside of Temple. So those are also two local guys that can help out. But all four of those guys that I mentioned were all leading scorers at their particular program.
Well, thank you, Hayden. It's always a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
The lacrosse team is halfway through its conference schedule. 6 game totals, which equals 3 wins and 3 games to go. The latest win came this past weekend against Old Dominion. The matchup took place at the Temple Sports Complex. The Monarchs went into this one with a 3-9 record on the year, but 0 conference wins. In the first 5 minutes, Amelia Wright finds a quick one on what looks like to be an open goal, getting the Owls on the board. This was her 15th of the season. Hannah Schrader follows and is coming in hot and brings that ball all the way down from the restraining line. The senior puts one of her 3 in on the season. It's now time for the Monarchs to respond. Lily Siskin comes around from behind to get the goal on the board. In the last 8 minutes of the first, the Monarchs dominated this one. They put in 2 more, and by the end of the first period, they are up by 1, the score 3-2. Now in the second, Mackenzie Roth rolls on the crease and puts one in. The graduate later made history in this game, breaking Temple's all-time record with her 90th career assist. The Owls dominate and take this one. They come out on top to score 12-5. This marks their 3rd win in a row.
It's 3 conference wins in a row for Temple Lacrosse, but the team will have its toughest matchup yet this Saturday. Temple will take on the 12th ranked team in the nation and reigning AAC regular season champion James Madison this Saturday. The Dukes were undefeated in conference play last year and finished with an overall record of 19-3. If the Owls are going to have a chance this weekend, they'll need to lean on a few players. OwlSports Update's Kayla Levine is in the studio to tell us more about the team's top performers and the difficult schedule that lies ahead. Hey, Kayla.
2 players of the team were honored this past week. Senior defenseman Maddie Barber was named the AAC Defensive Player of the Week for a 2nd straight week. And goalkeeper Taylor Grallman has been named mid-season honorable mention by All-American Inside Lacrosse. Grallman leads the AAC in save percentage at .524, which is also 5th in the country, and her 8.2-1 goals against average is 7th in the country. Let's take a look what is left for the Owls on their busy April schedule. Remember, the Owls are 3-0 in conference, which is exactly where they want to be. But if you notice, they have 3 wins come against teams in the AAC with a combined record of 0-8. Those are wins against Vandy, ECU, and ODU. As Paddy mentioned earlier, it gets real quickly. This weekend, starting with James Madison, Temple's final 3 games in conference are against the Dukes, the Gators, and the Bobcats. These 3 teams are combined 6-1. The top 4 teams make the playoffs, so the Owls are likely already onto the postseason. But wins against any of these teams will move them into a spot strong and come tourney time. That's all I have for Temple Lacrosse. Reporting from the studio set, I'm Kayla Levine. Paddy and Natalie, back to you guys at the desk.
It's time for a break. When we return, we will be talking about spring football and what to expect from the Cherry and White game.
Plus, we also have the latest on women's soccer and its new head coach. See you in 90 seconds. Spring football continues at 10th and Diamond, as does the competition for the top QB spot. There are 4 QBs currently on the roster. Drayton discussed the quarterback room's performance so far this spring and highlighted the effort from redshirt freshmen Tyler Douglas and Patrick Keller.
We've been real intentional as coaches to try to make sure that every one of those guys that are competing gets an opportunity to run with the ones. So it may start that way, but then the next series he may be working with the 3s. You know what I mean? This is all about reps right now, and we're just trying to find creative ways to get them all a bunch of reps, which is not easy to do sometimes when you got 4 guys that are really doing a great job competing. Forrest Brock's doing a phenomenal job. Tyler Douglas is flashing, and Pat's doing a phenomenal job in the throw game right now. So we're still identifying it. We're going to keep that competition open. They're embracing the atmosphere in there. They know that they're competing, but at the same time, they do realize they're getting better from it. So that's the beauty of that room right now.
Temple lost a quarterback even though the regular season is a month away. Clifton McDowell announced he will re-enter the transfer portal after verbally committing to Temple back in January. We discussed him possibly taking the starting job last show, along with QBs Forrest Brock and Evan Simon, but now redshirt freshmen Tyler Douglas and Patrick Keller might have a better opportunity at some playing time next season.
A small preview at the roster comes with the annual Cherry and White scrimmage, which is right around the corner. It will take place at Edberg Olsen Hall on April 13th and is open to all with free admission. Kickoff is at 2 p.m.
At the start of the year, Temple brought in Chris Shaw to take over the head coaching job for women's soccer. OwlSports Update's Miles Bailey is live from the Temple Sports Complex to tell us more about Temple's newest head coach. Hey, Miles.
Thanks, guys. This past winter, the women's program hired head coach Chris Shaw. He comes to Temple with 15 seasons of head coaching experience and has achieved a great amount of success with numerous programs. He's looking to make Temple his latest success story. Spring is an all-season for collegiate soccer, but at Temple, there is more than enough work to do. Temple brought in a new head coach, Chris Shaw, hired in January to help a team that hasn't finished above 500 since 2015. He comes to Temple with a strong resume that includes coaching at UNLV, Robert Morris in Pittsburgh, and Mount Olive in North Carolina.
We're already a lot better in the spring than we were in the fall, so I think that we'll definitely be able to make playoffs next year.
With a new head coach, there is always the struggle for strong chemistry and a new identity. That's where Coach Shaw is focusing his efforts.
As a team, we're developing, and over the past few games, I already feel like our team has built up to a certain level and held ourselves at a certain standard.
Before coming to Temple, Chris Shaw has been a head coach for 15 seasons and has been with 4 different programs. With each of those 4 programs, he has managed to rebuild and make them into winners.
It's really getting in and then kind of seeing, what are the strengths and weaknesses of the program, and then trying to fill in the gaps to make the program better.
Temple hopes those experiences have better prepared Shaw to turn the women's program around.
My mindset's more, okay, let's forget about that game and let's prepare for the next game instead of dwelling on the past or dwelling on losses.
The Owls continue their spring season Sunday versus Kutztown. Back in 2004, while coaching in his second season with Mount Olive, Chris Shaw and the Trojans achieved the greatest turnaround record-wise in NCAA Division II history. That's something to hope for here at Temple. Reporting from the Temple Sports Complex, I'm Miles Bailey. Paddy and Natalie, back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Miles. Women's soccer has just 3 games left in its spring schedule. As mentioned, the team will face Kutztown next at the Temple Sports Complex on Saturday. Temple will take a trip to the main line to play Villanova on April 13th, and will close out the spring season with a game at home against Jefferson on April 20th.
Temple Women's Gymnastics was established in 1984. About 40 years later, Brooke Donabedian is the first Owl to be selected to 3 NCAA regionals in program history. OwlSports Update's Sage Leone has more.
Senior Brooke Donabedian is setting records, even as her days at Temple are quickly winding down. The senior is the first ever Temple gymnast to be selected for 3 NCAA regionals. She will represent Temple in a 4-day tournament starting this week in Florida. Donabedian will make her 3rd straight appearance on floor, coming off of 5 regular season wins in the same event. Each time, Donabedian scored a 9.9 or higher.
It's a good feeling, it's fun.
Donabedian started rewriting the record books in her freshman year. This includes her work not just on the floor but also on beam. But at regionals, her focus will be on her floor routine.
She's very efficient when she's in the gym, which is great. Efficient with quality work, so it's not just get it done fast, it's get it done really well and get it done fast. It's what I came here to do, you know, just be part of Temple's regrowth. And I also think that there's another handful of girls on this team that are capable of the exact same thing.
For the past 2 years at regionals, Donna Bedian has scored an impressive 9.8 range score. This year, she'll look to improve those scores to a perfect 10.
The opportunity of being here as a whole, definitely owe it all to that. The coaching staff, I've had a great support system with the team, my family. Yeah, just the overall support is exactly what I needed to be able to be where I am today.
Donna Bedian averaged 9.8 over 13 meets this past season. That included second in the EAGL and a top 100 national ranking. At Pearson McGonigal Hall, I'm Sage Leone, OwlSports Update.
Thank you, Sage. We are at another break, but when we return, Xavier Adams joins us from the studio set with all things track and field.
Plus, we have a new edition of Who's on Our Radar featuring rowing. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Women's track and field is halfway through its outdoor season. OwlSports Update's Xavier Adams is live in the studio to tell us about the team's recent results and upcoming events. Hey, Xavier.
Thanks, guys. This past weekend, the Owls had 2 track meets to compete in. On Friday at the Raleigh Relays, Temple's Elsa Chan set a program record in the 10,000-meter race, placing 26th out of 60, and did so with a time of 34 minutes and 43 seconds. On Saturday at the Sam Howell Invitational at Princeton, there were 14 Owls competing, with 11 of them finishing top 10 in their races, and 3 personal records being broken. Allison Metzger set 2 personal records in the 100-meter and 200-meter, while Nia Brown also set a new best in the 100-meter. Temple's next meet will be on Saturday at the Big 5 Invitational at UPenn's Franklin Field, where the Owls will face local Philly schools UPenn, Villanova, LaSalle, and St. Joe's. That's all for now. Reporting live from the studio set, I'm Xavier Adams. Back to you guys on the desk.
Welcome to another edition of Who's on Our Radar. And in honor of the women's rowing season starting, Natalie and I sat down with Niamh Kiley, who started her career in her home country of Ireland.
We asked Niamh what she is and the rest of the team are most excited about for this season.
Say that we're super excited to finally be starting the season. I feel like we started our season so late, so we're definitely all excited to be back racing again.
So what were the teaching styles like in Ireland? Do they differ from what you've learned in the States? Are they similar? And is there any hardships between the two?
It is definitely a big change. Just from the sheer, I wouldn't say rowing was a niche sport at home. Like, we do have a lot of people that do it, but it's nothing like crew in America, and like down on Boathouse Row is incredible to see all those boathouses. But there are a lot of similarities. Like, we do row the same distance, like that's fairly standard. But it's a lot more big boat rowing, like big teams. Like, I would never have rowed in an 8 before coming here. Like, competitively, I would have done a lot of like single boat rowing, doubles. So it's a lot more hands-on approach here. When I was at home, it was less like, I didn't come from a big team. There was probably like 5 or 6 girls. So it was definitely different coming here, but it was a good change. Like, everything's a lot more collaborative. The coaching staff is a lot more hands-on. And I'd also never been coached by a female head coach. So having someone like Coach Rebecca, who's done it at the highest level and kind of knows what we're going through, really helps with coaching us.
What position do you hold in the team and in the varsity 8 boat? And how, if you could just go over it, how are those seats determined?
So I am currently sitting bow seat at the varsity 8, and that kind of means I help like back up the rhythm from the back, and I help with balance. I'm also on leadership. This year is my first year on leadership, so I just help with organizing the team and helping with the running and helping the captain as much as I can.
What are like your personal and like team goals for this season?
Oh yeah, well, our team goal is always to win a conference championship. That's what we like strive for. That's what we train all season for. A personal and kind of a smaller goal, Coach Rebecca always says, to be conference fast, you have to be Philly fast. So a smaller goal is definitely to try and race and beat some of our river rivals like Drexel, LaSalle, Penn.
Niamh and the rest of the team will be back on the water on Saturday for a head-to-head matchup against one of those rivals in Delaware.
And we have one more show left, which means one more edition of Who's on Our Radar. You can catch it in 2 weeks' time from today.
One of Temple's 29 sports clubs, some don't get as much recognition as others. OwlSports Update's Brielle Batchelor shines a light on one of those clubs you might not know much about.
2, 3.
Monday night at Pearson McGonigal Hall, room 101, you will find one of Temple's older and more popular clubs. Sensei Dan Batt has been with Temple Karate since fall of 2023, but he's been an instructor since 1996 when he learned under Temple's original club director.
My own personal instructor, Sensei Teruyuki Okazaki, founded this club when not long after he came to the United States to start teaching in the early to mid 1960s.
Although many students are unaware that we have a karate club on campus, the karate club plays a major role in the lives of those who participate.
It's like a framework for how you can navigate any struggle, any trial you might face as a person, and how you can build your personality in your own life.
Karate is not your typical sport where athletes practice to improve physical fitness or to compete against other teams or individuals. Competing in karate is just as much mental as it is physical.
It's more so like a discipline.
It's kind of like a way of life.
It's a way how to defend yourself within any given situation.
This club is one of few sports on campus that don't require prior experience to join. At Pearson McGonigal Hall, I'm Brielle Batchelor, OwlSports Update.
Thanks, Brielle. It's now time for our final break of the show.
When we return, we'll take a look at the Temple Esports Club. Welcome back to OwlSports Update. Esports is a growing industry nationwide at all levels. For professionals, there are millions in cash prizes along with hundreds of thousands watching, and the college sector is a major part of this growth.
It's one of Temple's more popular clubs, but the players don't have practice and don't play on a field. Esports is unique when it comes to club opportunities at Temple. It has more than 100 members listed, and it's serious competition, with major tournaments being held year-round.
When I transferred like a year ago, I was looking for clubs to join, and I knew I'd be interested in the esports clubs because I play a lot of video games.
But the members of the Esports Club aren't just fans of video games. This group takes part in competitions against other colleges across the country. Temple Esports faced off against 9 other colleges in an Overwatch 2 tournament last weekend. Schools such as Pitt, Drexel, and Arcadia, to name a few, all descended on localhost, a gaming destination just a mile from main campus.
If people are really good at video games and want to test their skills against other good players from other colleges, this is a great place to start.
Localhost is a primary destination for these type of events, but some other competitions are completely online. This flexibility allows for just about anyone to play.
Overwatch 2 may not be your game, but the Temple Esports Club organizes teams for 7 other competitive video games as well.
The club has teams for Call of Duty, Valorant, and Rocket League, just to name a few. But overall, the club hopes to create an environment that welcomes all fans of video games, from aspiring pros to casual fans.
The Temple Esports Club has events year-round and is always looking for new members to join. You can find more information at Temple Esports on Instagram and X.
We always have coverage so you can stay caught up with all things Temple athletics. On Monday, our sports brief is on socials at OwlSports Update, and a week from today, you'll see Meg Doyle and Michael Merville back on the desk for a cherry and white football preview.
That is all the time we have today on this edition of OwlSports Update.
On behalf of our entire crew, he's Paddy Heckard. I'm Natalie Koranda. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.